So here we are looking at pattern printing using for loops. So the first question here is to print this type of pattern: 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14. So what we can see is the best practice is always to draw a grid like this and print the pattern in it. So after drawing this grid, we are able to infer that the printed pattern follows a template like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that is when the line number is odd, the numbers are printed in descending order. Like when I is 1, instead of printing 2, 3, it is printed 3, 2. And when I is 3, it is printed 10, 9, 8, 7. Similarly, when I is even, the numbers are printed in ascending order. That is, when I is 0, we are considering 0 as an even number, it is printed 1. When it is 2, it is printed 4, 5, 6. In 4, it is printed 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Also, what we can see is that the number printed on a line are equal to I plus 1, where I is the line number. So when I is 0, the numbers printed on the line 0 are 1. When I is 4, the numbers printed on a line are 4 plus 1, 5. So to solve this question, what we will do is that we will run a for loop and generate a list for each line. So let us see the code for this question. This is the pattern that we are trying to print. We can see that in the first line we have to print number 1. So we will begin by initializing the value to be printed in the first line as print 1, and then we will go on incrementing it in the for loop. As we have 5 lines, so we'll run the for loop for 5 times. So for 5, I in range 5 means that the value of I will begin from 0 and go on till 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. As also mentioned in the explanation that we will initialize a loop, initialize a list. So we are keeping an empty list L. Now the condition what we will write is that when the value of the line number is greater than equal to the length of the list. Now what does that mean? As I said that in the first line, when a value of I is 0, we have one number printed. When the value of I is 1, that is in the second line, we have two characters. And when in the final line, when I is equal to 4, we have 5 characters to be printed. So this while loop condition satisfies it. And then we will go on adding the numbers to this list. And also we will increment the print number. So let us solve this question in our mind. So i equal to I equal to 0, what will happen? The list will be empty. And since the length of the list since the length of the list is 0 and I is also equal to 0, so this condition, this while loop will be true, and we will enter this loop. So L dot append print number. So L dot append print number. So L will be 1 and the print number will be incremented to 2, and again we will go into the while loop. Now the length of the list will become 1 while the i's value is still 0. So this will while loop will be false, and we will go down and we have to print, and we will print the list. So we will get value of printed in the first line as 1. Now when I equal to 1, again the list will be 0, and then while 1 is greater than equal to 0, so this condition is true, and we will enter the while loop. And then L dot append print number. As the print number was incremented to 2, so we will have the value in the L dot append in the list will be 2. Okay, so now the length of the list will be 1, and again in the while loop 1 greater than equal to 1 is true. So again we will enter it, and as the print number is incremented again, so again we will have 3 appended in the list. Now the length of the list will be 2, and the value of I is still 1. So it will be 1 greater than equal to 2. which is false. So while we will exit the while loop and we will enter the print conditions. So 2 and 3 will be printed. Similarly, in the for loop continues, we will be getting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and so on. But now we have to see that in the odd lines the reverse are printed. It should be like 3 comma 2. So for that we use a condition. If the line number is even, we have to print the characters in ascending order, and when the line number is odd we have to print it in descending order. So I mod 2 equal to 0 gives that the line number is even, and will print it in the same manner that it is appended in the list. And else if the line is odd, we will be printing it in the reverse order. Now this is list splicing. So this will print the list in the reverse order, and we will get the pattern what is required. So let us run this code and see the question, see the output. See, so this is the output what we are getting. I 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Let us see another question. So we have to print this pattern. It might seem a little scary when we are trying to do it using C or C++. It might involve that we will require 2 or 3 for loops. But in Python we can do it within a single line. So as I mentioned in the previous question, let's first draw a grid like this and understand what the pattern is. So while drawing a pattern, we can see that the length of the pattern is of 10 characters. So in the last line we have 10 asterisks, and in the first line we have 2 asterisks, and the space between them is 8 characters. In the second line we have 6 spaces and 2 asterisks on each side. So what we can see is that the space per line decreases by 2, and the asterisks per line are increasing by 1 on each side. So to print this type of pattern, we will use string concatenation. Now what does string concatenation means? So we will first print this asterisk and then add 8 spaces to it, and then again print this character. This we will run in for loop with a condition in it. So let us see the code for this question.
We use string concatenation to solve this problem. So in the first line, when I is equal to 0, we have to print two asterisks on the either side. And in the fifth line, the entire 10 characters should be of the asterisk. So how we will proceed with it? So we will see that the total length is 10, and we will run a for loop for the 5 times. So in the first line, what we require? In the first line, when I equal to 0, we require one asterisk on the either side. So we will prepare a string star asterisk into I plus 1. Now what does it say? In the first line I will be equal to 0. So it will be asterisk into 1. So asterisk will be printed one times. And this, as explained, in the first line we have the space value is 8. So how we can write it in the form of a code? So we will write as total length minus 2 into I plus 1. So for the first line it will be 10 minus 2 into 0 plus 1. So it will be equal to 8. So in the first line we will get as 1 asterisk plus 8 spaces plus 1 asterisk. In the second line where I will be equal to 1. So it will be asterisk into 1 plus 1. So it will be as 2 asterisks plus total length minus 2 into 1 plus 1. It will be 2 into 2, 4. So total length minus 4 equal to 10 minus 6 equal to 10 minus 4. It will be equal to 6. And again 2 asterisks. This is how the for loop will go on. So let us check the output. So as you can see, this is the output. Now you can see that while to solve this problem using C or C++, we might require 3 or 4 for loops, and which might become a little bit hectic or like confusing. We can solve this using Python in a single line with the help of the inbuilt functionalities of the Python. Similarly, when we want to solve this type of question where we have to print Christmas tree like structure. So again, I will suggest that you draw a pattern for this and see how you can solve it. So what I've observed is like in the last line we have nine characters, and in the first line we have one. So there are eight spaces. So there are four spaces on the left and the four spaces on the right. Similarly, in the second line we have three characters, and then we have three spaces on the left and three spaces on the right. So the code for this would be like this, and you can, when you run it, you can see the output. So this is how you can solve the pattern problems in the question.